Our dear friend, Shri D. Shivkumar, I request Mr. D. Shivkumar to be here and talk to us. Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's always a pleasure to come to Ahmedabad Management Association. When I was president of the All India Management Association, before that as well as after that, I was last here about 18 months ago. It's always a pleasure because it's one of the best run local management associations. All India Management Association has 63 local management associations in the country, and Ahmedabad Management Association is almost every year in the top 3. And I think the AMA requires a big round of applause for that. You are absolutely one of the finest LMAs, and I think I enjoyed my stint as the All India Management Association president, thanks to the kind of contribution that LMAs like AMA did. Okay, so I want to talk today about leadership excellence. When people talk leadership excellence, they refer to books which have been written in 1984 in search of excellence. It's a nice word. Okay, it's a word which everybody gets excited about. But what I'm going to talk to you about is, what does it take to create leaders and to create excellence in your organization? That's what I'm going to talk about. Okay, whatever I'm putting down here is purely my experience of having seen great leaders, having worked with great leaders, having seen a lot of people rise to the top, colleagues who've done exceedingly well, etc. So this is not something you'll find in a textbook. This is something that I truly hold dear to my heart, and that's what I'm going to share with you. So the first thing, the objective of any company finally is to grow, whatever it is. You grow your business, you grow your service, you grow something or the other. That's the objective of a business. That's why it's there. I think many people have said this, from Mr. Gandhi to Peter Drucker, that the only sole purpose of a business is to get a customer, keep a customer, and continue renewing the customer. We've heard this many times, and that's true. So everybody wants to grow, but not everybody grows. We also know that. Okay? And here's the raw stat. Only 1 in 9 companies, okay, achieve sustainable growth over 10 years. Only 1 in 9 companies achieve sustainable growth over 10 years, according to Bain Consulting. So which means companies which grow regularly year on year. So if you go back to 2006 and today 2016, only 11% of companies would have grown double digit all 10 years. Okay? So that's a very small number, which means 90% of the companies are not growing. Okay? And the issue really is, why aren't they growing? Because everybody has the same objective, which is to grow. Then what explains the people who grow vis-a-vis the people who don't grow? Okay? So that's what we should be thinking about. The first thing is, all growth leads to complexity. All growth leads to complexity. It leads to complexity emotionally. The first thing when you start growing is, you have to beat that. Okay, so there's an emotional pressure in the organization. You grow by 10% this year, somebody wants to grow 12 next year. You grow 15 this year, you want to grow 20 next year. So there's an inbuilt mechanism emotionally to say, I want to do better. So it creates an inbuilt pressure. Equally, all growth will come through new categories, will come through new pack sizes, will come through newer forms of activities and initiatives. That's the next thing which happens. All of that creates complexity. Processes of growth create complexity. Okay? And invariably we've noticed complexity kills growth. It's a funny thing. Growth leads to complexity, complexity kills growth. So the key trick is, as you're growing, to keep your agenda as simple as possible. To keep it so simple that everybody in the company gets it, and everybody in the company says, hey, that's the right way of doing it. Okay? That's the only way you can grow. The more an organization grows, you cannot afford complexity. And I'll talk about some of the reasons why you need to kill complexity. Okay? Now, growth again happens when leadership displays these characteristics, which is fast, agile, and adaptable. When we look at this, when we say leaders need to be fast, agile, and adaptable, it is not the chief executive officer. It is not the chief financial officer. It is not the chief customer officer. It is, in my book, the top 10 to 20% of the leaders in the company. That bunch of people need to show it. Having one person showing this is not going to work. Having one person showing it is not going to lead to leadership excellence in the company. But the top 10% of managers, if a company has, let's take 500 people, 50 of its leaders need to display this. That is when that company will have leadership excellence. Otherwise, it will never achieve leadership excellence. Okay, so I'm a great believer that one must invest in the top 10%, top 20% of the managers in the company if you truly want to make your company exceptional. Okay, it is just not about one person, it's not about your management team, it's not about 10 people. Okay, so that's what I would really want to signal. And what is it that we should invest in these people for us to have leadership excellence in the company and for the company to grow? I have a simple theory for it. And my theory is leaders at the top levels in a company need to show what I call CEO behaviors. Okay? This is my acronym, not from any textbook. This is my personal view. C stands for collaboration. So if you truly want a company to be excellent, you need the top 10% of people to be pushing collaboration in the company, and we'll discuss it. Second, once you collaborate, you need to execute brilliantly. Okay? You need to execute significantly better than everybody else in the industry, compared to your competitors, everybody. You do that, and then there's a third one, which is extremely important, which is owner's mentality or ownership. These people in the company must feel that this is my company. I'm doing this because this is my company. I'm not doing this because it is somebody else's company. That feeling of saying, it hurts me if this company doesn't grow, it hurts me if this company has extra cost, it hurts me if there is any reputation damage to the company. That is what I mean by the ownership mentality, and we'll cover that again in detail. Okay, so these are the three things I believe that a good company must focus on if it truly wants to seek excellence, and more important, build a pipeline of leadership excellence in its organization. So collaboration, execution, ownership, short for CEO. This is what we try to profess and practice even in our company. So let's go to the first one, which is collaboration. Okay, so if you look at collaboration, a lot of people think collaboration is getting along with somebody else. Me plus somebody else, getting along, having a good time, talking to each other. That's not collaboration. All collaboration should be this. It is you plus somebody else or others plus an objective. You plus others, you could be in the club. You plus others, you can be in the movie theater. But it's you plus somebody else plus the objective for what you've got together. That is collaboration. Collaboration is not being friends with each other. Collaboration is about a very clear objective between you, somebody else, and the objective for the benefit of the company. So that's the first thing I want to set out. Collaboration today is influenced by two things: technology and culture. Simple example. How many of you are members of the WhatsApp group? Some WhatsApp group or the other. Great example. You're all collaborating with each other on WhatsApp. Okay, what do you do when you're posting things on our WhatsApp? You're showing pictures, you're sharing information, you're sharing new ideas, you're talking about it. There's a talk value and a share value to your collaboration. Okay, there are family groups. My family has a WhatsApp group. My brother kicked it off some time ago. So we all share pictures on the group. My classmates have a WhatsApp group. My company management team has a WhatsApp group. A few of my friends have a WhatsApp group. So I'm part of a number of these groups. Okay? So technology is one. How many of you are part of Facebook? Again, that's a great example. Okay? Of intense collaboration. But a lot of this collaboration is at a social level. Now, when Facebook comes with a Facebook at work application or a process, then suddenly they're enabling via technology collaboration in the workplace. They've just kicked it off a few months ago, and I believe Facebook at work is a powerful social tool for collaboration in a company. Classical technology measures in a company have been email. You know, email has been a classical thing. Okay? What technology truly helps us with is the ability to share information with mass number of people and get the message out to them, share a lot of information, get very quick alignment. That's what technology helps us in every organization. The culture of a company is the other thing which influences collaboration. Okay, and we'll talk about that. Okay, so collaboration is influenced by two big things. Okay, technology and culture. Let's look at collaboration. Collaboration is the opposite of competition. In a workplace where there's intense competition, intense rivalry between functions, intense rivalry between people, between sales managers, brand managers, regional managers, finance managers, that company can never be collaborative. Okay. So here's a very good rule which I would give you for being an excellent company and building leadership excellence. My simple premise would be collaborate inside, compete outside. So every good company will have lots of collaboration inside the company, but lots of competition outside the company. A company cannot be excellent if it competes inside. If it competes amongst itself, amongst its own departments, amongst its own managers, amongst its own categories, that will not lead to excellence. True excellence will come when you collaborate inside and compete outside, number one. Second, why is that collaborating inside important? When you collaborate inside, you pool all the resources which are available. And resources are scarce. R&D resources are scarce. People resources are scarce. Money resources is scarce. So when you collaborate inside, you make the most of the resources that you have. When you compete inside, you will suck up more resources. You will duplicate more resources. An excellent company would never do that. Okay? So it's about pooling resources. Third, it's about very structured introspection of behaviors and communication. An excellent company will always think about the behavior of its managers and its leaders in the organization. There will be clear mechanisms of feedback. There will be clear mechanisms of saying this is acceptable, this is not acceptable. An excellent company will communicate a lot. It will communicate a lot because that's the only way you can get everybody on the same page to do the same thing. If you have a company which is not communicating, there is no chance you'll be excellent. Okay? Fourth, collaboration is about problem solving. Go back to what I said. You plus somebody else plus objective. That objective could be a problem solving objective. So all collaboration must lead to solving a problem for the company. And finally, most good companies, most excellent companies will always put the we ahead of the I. A company which has a lot more I attitude, I did this, I am the star, I need a benefit, I desire this, etc., will never be an excellent company, and you'll never get leadership excellence in that company. So these are the principles that I have seen of collaboration in my career which make for great companies. A lot of people have said this. Michael Jordan, one of the most famous basketballers ever. Basketball is divided into two eras, before Jordan, after Jordan. Okay? The guy with the famous hook shot, etc. Absolutely brilliant basketball player. But he became a great team player under the tutelage of Phil Jackson. That's when Phil Jackson told him, look, it's just not about how many points you score, Mr. Jordan. It's about how many you block. It's about how many you pass, the number of assists, etc. That's also just as important. That's when Jordan truly became an outstanding player. Phil Jackson couldn't teach Michael Jordan how to play basketball, but he definitely taught him how to be a better team player. And so in every organization, we need to recognize and drive this aspect of teamness. Okay? Also said very well in this, the strength of a team is invariably in its individuals. However, the strength of an individual is in the team. And that's what good team players recognize, and that's what excellent companies recognize. Great leadership is about recognizing this. That you are great because of the team is great because of you. Both are important. And when both feed into each other, you truly get excellence in the company. Okay, so go back to Michael Jordan as well as this. The other behavior which is extremely important, or non-behavior which is extremely important when you want collaboration is this. Politeness is the poison of collaboration. If you truly want collaboration, you need to have constructive challenge. If you don't have constructive challenge, you will never get good collaboration. You can get collaboration by being polite and let the wrong thing happen. That's not the intent of collaboration. The intent of collaboration is to maximize the objective. The objective can be maximized if different people have a different point of challenge so that you come to the best decision. So excellence is about having that constructive challenge at the table and not being polite. And many an organization suffers this politeness syndrome. You're polite in the group, and as a result, you don't achieve your results. Okay? So politeness is the poison of collaboration. What are the benefits of collaboration? The biggest benefits of collaboration are trust and speed. When people collaborate in an organization, in an excellent company, you build a lot of trust. Trust, simply said, is you will not hurt me when I'm vulnerable. That's what trust means. There are many times in every organization, in any team, people feel vulnerable. They haven't met a weekly target. They haven't met a monthly target. They haven't done something well. Okay, they haven't closed a report on time. Okay, they feel vulnerable. And when you truly have collaboration, when somebody shoulders your responsibility, somebody helps you through, that's when you build trust. Trust actually happens when you go through a crisis, when you go through difficult times together. So trust is, you will not hurt me when I'm vulnerable. Okay? Trust is the bedrock of an excellent company, where you blindly say, this is what I'll do, and the company backs me because this is the right thing to do for the company. Okay? Trust is a great outcome in a collaborative organization. And a collaborative organization is always an excellent organization. Okay? The other one is speed. When you trust each other, you will play for each other. You will decide for each other. You will move things for each other. And hence, there will be speed in that organization which has high collaboration. So this is the part of collaboration that I want to lay before you. Let's next go to execution. C stands for collaboration. E of the CEO stands for execution. The first thing I want to talk about execution is, in every industry, strategy is looking similar. In every industry. Take the airline industry. Everybody wants to be on time. Who says I don't want to be on time? So everybody is trying to make a virtue out of time. So the only two variables which are playing out in the airline industry today is price sensitive or time sensitive. That's all. And everybody is trying to maximize the two, thanks to travels, bookings, etc., etc. Okay. So strategy is looking extremely similar in every industry. In the airline industry, everybody wants to fly on time, everybody wants to land on time. But Indigo has made a statement out there to say, we are on time. And they've built all their processes of execution in order to be on time. Starting with a simple ramp. A ramp helps them unload and load passengers faster than steps, as an example. They put you into the bus well before you're supposed to go to the plane. They check you in well before anybody else. So if you look at it, every single process, which is execution, they've mastered to ensure that the flight can take off on time and land on time. Anybody can do that. They do it better than everybody else. They do it better not because they're talking about their strategy better, they're executing their strategy better. So in every industry, trust me, strategy is getting similar and similar and similar. The true value of a strategy lies in its execution. And hence there is a premium on execution today. Execution is absolutely key. My old professor, Ram Charan, used to say this. He taught me in a general management course. He would say, Shiv, there's a 50,000 feet thinking. When you're thinking at that level, please ask yourself, how does this translate to a salesperson at 5 feet on the ground? Okay, there's a 50,000 feet thinking, which is strategy. There's a 5 feet thinking, which is simplifying that strategy at the street level. However, a lot of people see execution as the poor brother of strategy. Strategy is seen as intellectual. PowerPoint, presentation, talk, notes, etc. People don't see execution as being challenging or intellectually stimulating, and nothing can be farther from the truth. Truly excellent leaders are good at both. They're able to think, they're also able to do. And in companies which are not excellent, you hear this famous expression, okay, which is the thinking-doing gap. They know what to do, but don't know how to do it. That gap is what fails companies, and that gap is what makes companies fall short of being excellent. Okay, the knowing-doing gap, or whatever you want to call it. Okay, so execution is extremely important. So I would suggest to all of you, roll up your sleeves, go out there, work with the customer, work with the consumer, work with your salespeople, work with your ecosystem. That's when you'll become an excellent company. That's when leadership will be excellent. Leadership will not be excellent only with cerebral work on strategy. Strategy is important, but even more important in today's world, commoditizing world, is execution. Next, what is execution about? Through all my experiences, it's about what to do, when to do, and how to do it. This is what most people will give a various title to. Some people will call it a playbook. Some people will say this is the company way of doing things. This is our way, this is their way, whatever it is. Whichever way you think about it, playbook, whatever jargon you want to call it, it's about what to do, when to do, and how to do it, number one. It's about a culture of realism. When we say a culture of realism, it doesn't mean you say, I can do 10 units of sales, that's realistic. No. Realism is also about the opportunity which is there. Just not about the downside. Most people, when they take the word realism, they underpitch. Realism about saying, that is an ambitious target, I'm chasing that. I might be a little short, but I'll get there. Realism is about maximizing the opportunity in front of you, not minimizing it. If you look at non-excellent companies, as an example, all their budget exercises, their annual planning exercises, are an exercise in minimalization. All budget exercises are an exercise in minimalization. An excellent company will manage the first decimal, whole number, 10, 11, 12, 15, 20. A not excellent company will manage the number after the decimal point. And that's what you need to think about. Great companies, excellent companies, okay, are about ensuring that you're real about the opportunity and you're maximizing the opportunity. Third, execution rests with middle management. Show me a company which is weak in execution, and I'll show you a company which is weak in middle management. Why? A junior manager is supposed to know and execute the basics. A middle manager is supposed to master the basics and teach the junior manager how to do the basics. And that's why any good company, an excellent company in execution, will have a very strong middle management. Okay? So that's what you need to build amongst your leadership team and your leaders if you truly want to be an excellent company. Fourth, it's about coaching. You want a very effective middle management, you have to coach them through thick and thin. Okay, so the leadership, the top 10% of leaders have to be extremely good coaches in an excellent company. Next, it's about standards which are external. I talked of collaboration, no competition. Okay, collaborate internally, compete externally. The performance standards must be in the marketplace. And invariably, the biggest performance standard from the marketplace is market share. So an excellent company always tries to maximize the value it can have from its consumers and customers, which is an external benchmark. When you gain share from consumers or customers, you're doing something better than everybody else in the industry. That's why the consumer is giving you his or her dollar. So external benchmarks are extremely important for an excellent company, not internal benchmarks. And finally, it's about having the right people in the right job. I cannot tell you how important this is. Okay, and this is possibly the toughest decision leaders need to take in terms of getting excellence. You will get lots of excellence when you have the right people in the right job. And you will not get excellence when you don't staff them like that. The message to leaders: what you do and how you do it influences execution. Okay, so if you truly want to be very good, always check yourself what you do and how you're doing it. Okay? And for execution, and in excellent companies, execution has strategy as the guide, but it's operation and people processes that are key to delivering execution. If you have a company of more than 100 people, you need very good processes. If you have a company less than 100 people, the CEO and 2-3 people can coordinate everything. You don't need a process. You can virtually talk to each other in the corridor, call up each other and close it. But if you have more than 100 people, please start investing in the processes. And one of the biggest processes you need to invest in is information gathering and dissemination. Why? As the company gets larger, you need to have one version of the truth. Invariably, when your information is not synchronized, you get many versions of the truth. And hence, you are not able to take a decision with so many versions of the truth. An excellent company will always shoot for one version of the truth. That's what I truly encourage leaders to embrace, one version of the truth. The last of the CEO behaviors is ownership. India has the maximum number of listed companies in the world, 5,700 or so, the Dalal Stock Exchange. The New York Stock Exchange, Wall Street, has about 5,500. We have 200 more companies listed compared to on Wall Street. We are the maximum number of listed companies. The interesting point is 2/3 of the companies listed in the Indian stock market are family-run companies. There is a natural ownership tendency in family companies. There's not a natural ownership tendency in other companies. That's a fact. We see it. We experience it. Okay? So what is ownership? Ownership is a state of mind. You can't tell somebody, treat this as your company. He has to feel it. He must want to feel it. We can't tell somebody, okay, feel like an Indian. We need to feel it, right? We need to say, hey, I'm an Indian. I'm proud of being an Indian, right? Nobody can tell us that. It's the same thing in an organization. You can't tell somebody, now feel ownership. No. It's a state of mind. When more employees have that state of mind to say, this is my company, then you get excellence in that company. When few people have that, that company will never be excellent. Because then these people are not truly working for the greatness of that company. Employees with the ownership mentality show the following behaviors. They focus on business results without bothering who is watching them. They're not bothered whether the CEO is watching them, the director is watching them, their boss is watching them. They do it automatically. That's the ownership mentality they have. Okay? They break functional silos. They don't embrace a functional silo and say, I can't do something. They break the functional silo. And they get into details and know the numbers. You know why? It matters to them. It matters to them to know it. This is the kind of behavior you'll see in people who say, I own the agenda of this company. People who do not own the agenda of the company typically show this. They're always watching out to promote themselves. They're always seeing who's watching them. They put their own security ahead of others, and they're very protective of their turf. So go back. This is the type of person who has the ownership mentality. This is the type of person who doesn't have the ownership mentality. So if your question is, how do I divide my people into people who own the company agenda who don't, here's a simple fact for you. So the work ethic is a very important thing which determines the ownership. People with the ownership mentality work with the big picture in mind. They contribute ideas, they share information, they decide, and they take feedback. Because they want to be better. They want to be better for the sake of the company. The people who don't have the ownership mentality are inward looking. They procrastinate. They don't share. They reject ideas. I know it all kind of a thing. And they externalize feedback. And when the non-ownership mentality continues in an organization, you get cynicism. That's what happens. No company can afford cynics. No company can afford cynics. Life is short. You need employees who are positive, who believe in the cause of the company. Okay? So an excellent company has more ownership mentality and less of, okay, the right-hand side. So in summary, 1 in 9 companies grows in a sustained manner for 10 years. 11% of companies grow in a sustained manner. Number 2, all growth leads to complexity. And complexity kills growth. Fast and agile, very, very important. So as you grow, try to simplify things as much as possible. Okay, and avoid people and avoid managers who complicate things, who put wheels within wheels. Okay, try to keep it simple. In my book, leadership excellence in any company is about the top 10% of leaders, the top 20% of leaders displaying three behaviors of collaboration, execution, and ownership. If you as a company leader, if you as an institution leader, okay, show this and build this in the organization, then you'll truly get leadership excellence in your company. And your company will be known as an excellent company. So it is not about the CEO, it's not about the management team. It's about the top 10 to 20% of people displaying the behaviors of collaboration, execution, and ownership. So that's all I have to say, ladies and gentlemen. I finished in my half an hour. More than happy to take any questions, thoughts that you might have. As I mentioned, this is purely my experience, my thoughts. You won't see this in a textbook. Thank you very much.